I recently made a video talking about how to update from Debian 12 to Debian 13 on that machine there. This is running Proxmox VE, Proxmox Virtual Environment, as it stands for. As it stands for. It's a weird phrasing, but I guess that's how the English language works. Anyway, Proxmox VE is based on Debian. So guess what? It's time to update this to the new version as well. And that's what I'm going to do. We're going to update from version 8, which this is running right now, or 8.4 or something, whatever it is, to 9. First things first, before we go any further, here's the web console. Kind of shrunken because this monitor is really too small to do anything with. But it's the monitor I have on this KVM switch. And then we'll do it this way because I have the camera on a tripod. I'm going to shut down all the virtual machines. I'm going to shut down all of them. I'm going to go in and close that. So then everything will be off on this, because none of them really need to be running. You probably don't want any of them running. If any of them need to be running, you're going to have to migrate them to another box. The steps for doing that and the process for doing that is outside of the scope of this video. So with that done, everything is off. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we need to do. Step 1. Make sure we are fully up to date first. Usual stuff. I just upgraded this machine earlier today, so it should be fine. We are running 8.4.12. As you can see there, we need to be running at least 8.4.1. So we're good to go. Proxmox VE comes with a script that you can run, and should run, and will run, that goes through and checks your configuration, checks your setup, checks everything, and makes sure that you are okay to do this upgrade. The script is called PVE829. We'll go ahead and we'll run it. I do see an error. System deboot meta package is installed. This will cause problems on upgrades and other boot-related packages. We need to remove that before we can continue. Once you have the PVE829 script output to your satisfaction, i.e. you've taken care of all the errors and you've tried to take care of all the warnings, at least the ones that you care about, you'll want to run the script again. You're going to run the script several times, but you'll want to run it again, this time passing -- full to do all of the checks. And again, in this case, I have no failures. There are a couple of things that were probably skipped, probably related to Ceph and other things that I'm not running on this particular machine. But there's only one warning about the microcode. I don't really care about the microcode, so I'm not going to do anything about that. Similar to Debian, you're going to want to replace all instances of Bookworm with Trixie. In your sources, oh, beat yourself. Now, there's stuff in here. You're going to want to do the same thing with your PVE Enterprise if you're using it. I'm not, but I'm going to make this change anyway. Just to have the change made. If you read the official guide on how to upgrade your Proxmox VE box, you'll see a whole bunch of things about adding new repositories, in the so-called Deb 822 style, which is the new way of doing things. I'm going to ignore all of that because you shouldn't have any problems. Go ahead and we'll update. And again, we should not see any errors, we should not see any problems anywhere, and we don't. And there's 579 packages that can be upgraded. So, we're about to do the upgrade. Take a deep breath. And prepare yourself for this, because this could take a while. If you're running on a new box that has like an NVMe SSD RAID setup, this probably won't take very long at all. Like 5 minutes. If you've got a box with an old hard drive in it that you're booting from, this might take an hour. Now this machine has an SSD. It's a SATA SSD, and it's a pretty old SATA SSD, so maybe about 30 minutes. But I would still budget myself an hour. We're going to do a distribution upgrade. It's going to do all this stuff, which is good. We're going to let it download all that stuff. And we'll let it install all that stuff. Do not do this from an SSH console. Come back to the web administration thing. There's a nice thing there called a shell. Nice little button for shell. Don't do that. Because part of what we're going to do here is we're going to pull the rug out from underneath the entire Proxmox VE subsystem. And that might break your shell, and when it breaks your shell, you're going to have to drive to your box anyway. So just save yourself the hassle and the heartache. Get in your car, drive to wherever your server is located, and do the upgrade locally. It will save yourself a lot of time. Trust me on this one. Okay, you can see it's popped up a bunch of changes. I'm going to ignore them. Maybe you want to read them. Maybe you don't. I don't know. We have our first question. Please select the layout matching the keyboard. Well, you will pick the one that you want, and the one that applies to you. In my case, the first option is the one that's okay. There's another question. Configuration file etc issue. What would you like to do about it? This particular file is edited on boot every time you boot the system. The only thing that it affects is what the console says. So I don't care. I'm just going to choose the default on this one. There are services installed that need to be restarted. Restart without asking. Again, I've never really seen a valid reason to say no here, unless you happen to be doing this remotely like you're not supposed to be doing. So we're going to say yes. And it'll keep going, and it'll keep going, and it'll keep going. Like I said, it could take anywhere from 5 minutes to an hour, maybe even longer than that, depending on your system. Another question. In this case, lvm.conf. I'm going to want to show the differences between the files here. Looks like just a bunch of comments. Yeah, it looks like just a bunch of comments. I don't really see anything too obvious. There's going to be a lot of lines in this file. So I'm going to go ahead and just install the package maintainers version. I don't believe I made any changes to that anyway. And in general, that's what you probably want to do, is you want to install the package maintainers version of a lot of this stuff. Because there might be security updates, there might be other changes that are important. I know with SSH it's important because there's a lot of obsolete features in SSH that you do not necessarily want. But we're at 99% and this has maybe taken 10 minutes. I don't think it's even taken 10 minutes. And it looks like we're done already. So we're going to go ahead and run the script again. do see an error. Found mixed old and new package repository speeds. Fixed before upgrading. Now, I don't know, I've already upgraded, so hopefully this goes well, because I am going to reboot the machine. It shouldn't take too long because I'm not going to be shutting down virtual machines. Power on. We get our grab bootloader. Again, I'm just going to let it sit. I'm almost out of battery on my camera, so hopefully it survives this entire process. No error messages. It's booted. Let's go ahead and come over here. You can see some stuff is going on. We're going to clear the cache and refresh. And things are booting. So it looks like we are working. We survived. Okay, as with Debian, what we're going to do is remove anything that might be left over. It's just an old kernel. And then the other thing that we're going to do is we're going to try and modernize our sources. So run a simulation. This is what it is going to do. Go ahead and write them out. You can see failed to fetch enterprise because obviously it doesn't work. I don't have an enterprise thing, so I'm going to have to deal with that. How I'm going to deal with that, I don't know, but that's, again, beyond the scope of this video. So we have upgraded. Everything is working. Nothing blew up. Really quick here, this is what I've ended up with in my sources after running all those updates. This is misconfigured. I'll have to fix that. And then this should be a very simple task of just disabling it. Here you can see I've made the relevant changes. And everything is now working. And that should be pretty much it for that. So if you've got any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. Sorry for rushing towards the end. The camera's out of battery, so I don't really want to... I don't want it to die.